Hello everyone, my name is Andy Pongs. I'm a developer at Periscope Studio, and in this video I will give you an introduction to the Unity port of Psai, which is our multi-platform middleware for interactive music in games. Psai for Unity comes as a single managed DLL, so all of this will run on each of Unity's target platforms. So this is a GUI I made in Unity where you can play around with Psai and test your soundtracks. Each of these buttons are mapped to a single call to Psai's API, and many of the buttons actually call the same methods, just with different parameters. So in most cases you only need 2 or 3 different methods to control playback at runtime, because most of the work is already done in our authoring tool called the Psai editor, which I can hopefully present you in another video soon. So at this point I've already loaded a Psai soundtrack, which you can see here on the left. A soundtrack consists of a collection of themes for different settings or situations in your game, like a cave theme or battle theme and so on. And each of those themes consists of a collection of different pre-recorded audio segments, which you can see here on the right. And those segments have different properties, like we have some which are marked as suitable for starting a theme with, like this one. And accordingly, we have segments to end a theme. And of course, all the segments in between, which have the middle tag assigned to them. Now, Psai's playback logic is based on the dynamic recombination of those middle segments on the fly based on your current game situation. And this selection is based mainly on the intensity value that I have assigned to each segment during the authoring process, which is what you can see here on the third column. For instance, a segment with low musical intensity of 10% could sound like this. And this segment with 90% intensity sounds like this. So whenever you tell Psai to play back a given theme, you also set the starting intensity you want this theme to be played back with. This is what you do with this slider on the very top. So now I tell Psai to play back the main theme with a starting intensity of 100%. As you can see in the default setting, the dynamic intensity level is decreasing automatically, and you can see here that Psai always enqueues those segments for playback which have an intensity level that matches the dynamic intensity the best. Currently it's 50%, as you can see here in the dark green bar, which is the intensity of the current segment. So usually when the dynamic intensity has dropped down to 0, Psai will end the theme. But one of the main advantages of the segment-based approach is that you can basically extend the playtime of a theme for as long as you wish. For instance, if your game has a dialog screen and you're waiting for the player to make a choice, you just freeze the intensity level like I just did, and Psai will keep playing until you explicitly stop the theme. So what you can also see here on the right is that Psai is counting the times that a segment has been played so far, so it can automatically avoid repetition. And when we finally choose to end the theme explicitly, we can either do so immediately by a quick fade out, or we can play an end segment like the one we heard at the beginning, and Psai will wait for the right moment and then end the theme and keep silent until we trigger the next theme. Another feature of Psai which makes it very easy to use is the predefined hierarchy of theme types, which is what you can see here on the left. theme types define the playback priority of each theme, so that typical situations work right out of the box. For instance, whenever the player is being attacked, you'll want your battle music to instantly kick in and interrupt any other theme that might be playing. And to achieve that, your battle music needs to be set to type action. On the other hand, when the player just moves into a new region or scenery, the transition should be as seamless and subtle as possible. And this is what Psi tries to achieve among themes of type basic mood by waiting for the end of the segment and then picking a matching segment of the following theme. So to give you an example, let's say we're controlling the music for some action-adventure game where the player will be exploring some rocky canyon. So I will now trigger the basic mood for that scenery. Now somewhere in that canyon there could be some hidden cave, and we want to change the music as soon as the player gets near the entrance of that cave. So the cave theme I will trigger now is also of type basic mood, so Psi will take time for a seamless transition. So now the player is in that cave and she could decide to descend deeper and deeper into the darkness. It's getting more and more dangerous. The player is likely to be eaten by a gru, and I want the music to communicate that, to raise the tension and to increase that feeling of uneasiness. So I will add to the current intensity until the music gets a little more stressful. So when the player is finally spotted by some creature in the dark, I want to immediately warn her about the danger, and that's why my danger theme is of type action. So it immediately kicks in and interrupts our cave theme, and we will start at 50%. So while the player is running away from that creature, I could decide to control the intensity level in relation to the distance to the creature. So if the creature is getting closer, I will add to the intensity. Or if the player manages to get away, I will reduce the intensity. What could happen now is that the player steps out of that cave, so our normal canyon theme would be triggered again. So what Psi does not do in that case is it doesn't interrupt our action music, because the action music always has a higher priority. But Psi remembered that I triggered the theme for that canyon, and at some point of time when the action sequence has stopped, I will go into a musical rest mode and then wake up with the last basic move that was triggered. So now the player could decide to prepare for combat and go back into that cave and fight the creature. And this time the player knows what's coming, so I will trigger the cave theme with 100% this time. And the creature could be lurking in the dark and attacking the player from behind. And this time I really want the player to jump out of his seat, and this is why I trigger the danger theme with 100% starting intensity. And if the player finally is successful, we could transition to some other epic action theme. And this is the end of my introduction to Psai. I hope you like it, and we really would be happy if you use it in your games. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us and visit our homepage. That's www.homeofpsai.com. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.